All right, everyone, and welcome to Water is the New Gold. And I'm going to immediately share my screen because we have a quick show, and then you will get to meet our celebrity guest, which I'm very proud about because we're now starting to have celebrity guests. Isn't that cool? Anyway, so Water is New Gold, you know that. You wouldn't be listening if you didn't know it. And here's what's cool. It is recession proof, unlike things like oil and gas, because the world will keep needing good water. All right. And this is briefing number 78. Wow. And that only tells us how old we're getting, isn't it? But nonetheless, it's been fun. And why don't I move straight into the safe harbor statement, which tells us that we are not gods, that we try and predict the future, but we're not always right. We do our very best. And now here's a clip that I'm going to play, which is me being a market prophet. We'll see how good I am. And Jon, our mystery guest, is going to comment on that. So here we go. Hi, this is Riggs Eccleberry. I'm with the innovative water company Origin Clear. 2020 has been shocking. I don't think it's over yet. I think we have a lot more surprises in store. But my question is, what about investing? How can I hold on to my money? How can I hopefully make more? And maybe how can I do good things while doing well financially? These are important questions, and let's take a look at some answers right now. Hi, Riggs Eccleberry here, and I'm going to do a quick look at the markets. It's Labor Day weekend, first weekend in September. I'm not giving you investment advice, and I will be updating it in my CEO briefing, which is every Thursday evening, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Just go to CEO link at originclear.com. Love to see you there. Okay, here we go. So this is the NASDAQ, been doing well for quite a while now. And then this last week it had a big crash, and it has recovered partially. But we got a long catch up here. So that's what happens with the market right now. It's very flighty, and you can lose a lot of gains. Okay, that's the tech market. Let's take a look here at just putting your money in a certificate of deposit. Try that, huh? Well, it was pretty decent at 1.3% back in 2010. It sagged ever since, and it made its way up to a point just before coronavirus, and then it has crashed. Sadly, it's now at 0.2%. Not a great way to keep up with inflation, is it? Crude oil. Big peak in 2008. Bad times, slow recovery, more bad times. And really what we see now is a continued loss as we go into the rest of the coronavirus times. Here's the real issue. It is a long and steady drop, right? So oil and gas, I don't think is a great investment long term. Gold, we love gold, right? Gold is great. It had a nice peak over here in 2012, 2013, hit a bottom 2016, and it has had a gradual rise, which all of a sudden took off with coronavirus. Problem is that there is a box right here where things have flattened out. Now, I'm not saying gold's no good. I bought some right here myself, but how much is it going to go up? Good conservative hold, but how much money is it going to make? We just don't know. Then here we have currency exchange. People say you should get foreign currencies. US dollar is going nowhere, and I think they're right. So the US dollar was doing well, and then it crashed back in March against the euro, and now it's at 84 euro cents. So it would seem that holding euros would be good, right? Go for it. But trading foreign exchange, not my cup of tea. It's very unstable. Average sales for new houses by region. You know the drill. It's been going up. They're all going up. All these regions, but here's the thing. Cities are falling apart. At least people think so. A lot of people are leaving. What does that mean? It means that this market is going to diverge. Cities, I think, are going to have a tough time with real estate. Nice places far away from cities are going to do well, in my opinion. Commercial real estate. This is the Apollo graph, ARI. Commercial real estate has been very steady for a long time, and then coronavirus hit, and we have seen a dramatic crash. This is a very bad situation. Went from about 17.5 to about $7, and it hasn't really recovered, so it's just sitting there. I think there's worse to come. Commercial real estate, we just know it's a tough situation, and the people in it I really feel for. Okay, water, that's my industry. Okay, how's water doing? Well, water has done well over the years, up to the peak really here in 2020. In February 2020, it was in good shape. Crashed like everyone else, recovered, and has not had the same crash as the tech sector, which is good. And remember, a lot of these stocks pay dividends. That's your earnings, right? Well worth looking at. So water's good. Let's take a look at the story stock of 2020, Tesla. We love Tesla, and apparently the market does too. Went for a long, long time in a pretty flat zone, and then this year it just took off roughly 10 times its price. Okay, so here's the thing about Tesla, or any stock really. If you invest in a stock, it could go up or it could go down, right? So there's always that risk. Tesla turned out to do incredibly well for those who believed in it, but they could have lost everything too. The people who loaned money to Tesla all along made a steady return. The question is, how do we combine the two? This is what we at Origin Clear have been looking at, is how do we get people good annual yield, double-digit returns on their money with an upside opportunity eventually, and maybe have the best of both worlds. How do we do it? What is our opportunity right now in this marketplace? You see, 80,000 businesses have closed permanently in the United States this year alone. 60,000 of them small businesses. This is a terrible situation. These are wonderful entrepreneurs who, through no fault of their own, are stuck and they're scrambling. It's a terrible situation. But the water industry needs millions of people. And my company, Origin Clear, is on a mission to help great entrepreneurs come into the water industry and help transform it. How? Well, it's called Water as a Career. It's done by getting this entrepreneur in, and they select a program. We finance their equipment, and we give them a marketing package, show them how to run the business, show them how to run the equipment, and they go and they build a business. Now they can select from any number of these, but for now we've started with one pilot program that's been very successful. And I'd like you to see a little video that describes it. Take a look.
Always been an entrepreneur by spirit. After over 2 decades in the corporate world, wanted to do something else, but during the COVID shutdowns was not an ideal time to try and make a switch. So I had very little experience with pools other than swimming in them. So the thought of shifting careers during this time, during this point in my life, after 20 years in the corporate world, was very scary. But the folks at Origin Clear made it very simple to walk right into an opportunity that allows me to make money, like right away, and be profitable within the first month. Typical drain, but they're going to drain your pool and it's going to potentially risk cracking. So that crack can lead to thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars in fees. Potentially I've heard anywhere from like $6,000 to $20,000 for maintenance and repair of structural type cracks. The advantages of this process are there's zero risk because all the water stays in the pool and it just flows right through the trailer and goes right back in with not affecting the water level. So I don't ever risk any kind of structural issues to the pool whatsoever. Saving and recycling all that water, it's a huge impact for the environment, especially here in the desert where there's always a constant drought. And then also the results are actually better than doing a drain and fill because our process removes the chlorine that come in with a bunch of other things. This takes all of that out of there and you have a perfectly balanced body of water. Honestly, it sells itself. As of right now, I have a rolling billboard behind me here at the trailer. The phone number, the website, a lot of pool professionals, whether it's the weekly pool maintenance guys or the pool stores around the valley. When folks go in and they need to change their water, or in the past, required to drain their pool. So this is starting to become more and more talked about with pool professionals, and they'll offer this out to their customers, and I get a lot of calls that way. It was the cheapest, easiest, most streamlined business I've ever started, with the least amount of overhead and the maximum amount of profits, honestly.
So this gentleman who's on the video actually plans to get a second unit. He's doing extremely well, so we wish him the best, and we're there to support him. There's more people coming into this program. You can help us fund it by becoming an investor. Well, what's it like to be an investor in Origin Clear? Perhaps you'd like to know. Well, here's a couple of my good friends who've become investors and what their experience has been.
And they're doing a lot of right things, and they're making it easy for the regular investor to take a stab at getting involved at a time that water all over this world is getting to be looked at as a very necessary commodity.
My lovely wife Linda here is so tight. She's not going to jump into anything. She looks it over very carefully, and it's just been a great match for us so far. It's been consistent, it's been very lucrative, and it's been very fulfilling because we actually feel like we're doing something for the economy.
An ongoing revenue stream allows you the flexibility to start redirecting things and adjusting if there is a new lifestyle or something that needs to be addressed.
Wow. These are indeed some happy investors. We love our investors. They love us. We have many of them have been around for years. Just some of the best people in the world, and they really are helping us with our mission. So what's the next step? Well, my good friend and collaborator, Ken Berenger, who has helped me build this program over the last few months as the world was changed by coronavirus, and he is available to speak. He's very articulate. He will listen. He will help you understand better what we're doing and how it works. Simply go to oc.gold/Ken. So in your browser, type oc.gold/Ken. 5 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever you feel like. He can tell you what's going on. Give him all your questions. He reports back to me, so I'll know what's going on. Please do give him a call. Simply schedule it using oc.gold/Ken. So what if I'm not one of those high net worth investors and, gotta have $1 million to make $1 million kind of thing? What do I do then? Well, actually, Origin Clear has an offering, which I've invested in myself, which only has a $500 minimum. And it's open to just about everyone. It's got to be the United States, and you need to be either a US citizen or a permanent resident, in which case we welcome you. You get 10% stated dividend, which is spelled out in what's called the offering circular, which is a link that follows, and you definitely need to check that out. And then eventually, when we decide to pay you back, we have to pay you back 150%. So look at it this way. You invest, let's say, $1,000. Every year you get $100, paid monthly, right, in 1/12. And then at the end, when we decide to repay you, you get $1,500. Pretty cool, huh? Now, that money is very useful. Why? Because we put together businesses that are very profitable for us and for the entrepreneurs. So good use is made. This is a winning proposition for the entrepreneurs, for Origin Clear, but also for you. And I invite you to come in, check it out. Just click on the link that follows. Do invest. Thank you. I put two endings together just so you could see how we do this. What I'm going to do now is just turn on the presentation again, introduce our next guest, Jon Dwoskin. And here he is. These are a few of the panels from his show, and I was privileged to be on his show recently. So I'm going to stop the share and let Jon. Hi.
Hey, Riggs. How are you?
This is great. I'm celebrity struck because we have not actually had guests who have their own more than 15 minutes of fame. So welcome. And
thank you.
I was on your podcast recently.
Yeah.
And you got something about water that perhaps was different than you thought.
Yeah.
What was your take?
Well, it was, you were talking about the business of water. And, one of the things that always fascinated me was pre-COVID studies of the idea that 85% of the jobs that exist in the year 2030, studies show, don't exist today. And, we're going to see so many changes in so many different industries, and industries change and job opportunities over this next decade. And when, until I talked to you, I never really had thought of water as an industry. And so I thought it was pretty fascinating. And, I think that, it's something that occupies a large percentage of the world, and, something that everybody needs to take, that maybe it seems obvious. It wasn't obvious to me. So it was interesting to learn about it and to see where that industry goes over the next decade.
Well, certainly, they're having their own silver tsunami, as it's called, in many industries, but literally a tsunami in water. And in the big water industry, 3 million jobs alone are going to come up in the next decade. And what we really think is tremendous number of entrepreneurial opportunities like that pool preserver product, pond cleanup. We have this amazing piece of news I'm about to share concerning whole hotel purification, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
These are all career opportunities. We love selling those products, but we're only one company. Our concern has always been, how do we scale? And it's always done by having multiple points, just like right? Is you replicate yourself, right? And I think we have the idea here that's working well of having all these small water companies, which are entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Well, I think that we're going to start to see more and more entrepreneurs in many industries over the next decade as people realize they want more freedom in their world. They want to be able to make their own hours, be with their families. So to me, I think over the next few years and over the next decade, we're going to see a huge rise in entrepreneurship.
Unfortunately, we are fighting in California and soon America the attempts to really do a number on freelancing, but I'm not going to get into the politics of it because it's a tough situation for, I don't know if you heard about it, Assembly Bill 5 and all that, but it's a tough time for freelancers, but it is the future. We're going to make very sure that part of the training that we give our entrepreneurs is to be compliant with all of these new regulations, because there's a good side to it, which has been a lot of misclassification of contractors, which has led to the state not getting, enough taxes, but also the contractors not having a good safety net and so forth. So there's an important side to this too. It's tough on freelancers, but there's a way to find a middle road, and we are dedicated to making sure that our entrepreneurs are compliant, that they have the right packages for themselves and take care of their obligations, because I think that's going to be very important. Post-COVID, we're going to see a lot of demands on state taxes and a lot of attempts to make I've heard it's like $1 billion a day is what this thing's been costing. Horrendous.
Wow.
Getting my head around that has been interesting. But what we do know is that there's some really good people out there. I was talking about a product that we're very excited about, and I've been talking about this many times. This is a purchase order we received late in August, which is a 260 gallon per minute unit. Now, this is a great concept. We've been working on this for more than a year with a very high-end hotel chain, and they decided that they reached out to us. They heard about our water system in a box, and they said, yeah, we want that. We have many things we're talking to them about, like gray water treatment and so forth, but this is the first one that came through. Here's what it is. You're accustomed to going into a hotel and there's a little bottles of water on the bureau. Sometimes you have to pay for it. Sometimes it's complimentary. This concept puts that water throughout the hotel, showers, kitchen, water coolers, everything, the faucet. It all has crystal pure water. And they plan to make a big deal out of it. For women, stepping into a shower that has chlorine in it, it hurts their hair and so forth. This is going to be, wonderfully, and it won't be hard water either. So it's a whole hotel filtration system. Now, what that means is you can see from the price, a whole house runs about $4,000 to $6,000. A whole hotel is almost 10 times as much. But when you think about it, that's actually very reasonable. And we think that we're going to have entrepreneurs able to go sell that, not just to hotels, but to apartment buildings, commercial buildings of all kinds. It's a huge breakthrough. We can't talk about what the client is because, of course, they are confidential until we've got this thing really running, but we will be promoting it once it is. So that's the kind of stuff that makes my day, really does.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, sir. So water is the new gold. So the things that we've lined up for the entrepreneurial game, water as a career, is the pool, reverse osmosis. So people go, why are you working with pools? Isn't it a luxury item? We're like, by the way, people are using pools a lot right now for their staycations. So it's actually become kind of an essential service. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, it's a career. There's 2 million pools in the Southwest, and hundreds of thousands of people are in that industry. We sell both to the existing pool cleaning operators. In fact, we're going to them first because we don't want to undercut them. And then as an overflow, we're going to start helping entrepreneurs move into it. Also, we have the product called the Ponsta. You have to say it with a tri-state accent, Ponsta. And it's the Pond Monster. And what it is it cleans up ponds of all kinds. I won't go into it because I want to discuss our offering. But the third one is this pure water incoming, which we'll be talking about more as we make the conquests. All of these, we want them to become standard products and entrepreneurial. With that, I am going to subject everyone to my pitch about the offering, because investing in Origin Clear is near and dear to my heart. But before I do that, Jon, is there anything you wanted to say about your show that you'd like to share?
Well, I'm a business coach. I coach companies. I coach leaders and owners of companies and managers and salespeople. And my podcast is a business podcast that targets those people. It's a 7-day-a-week podcast. On top of that, I do 5 to 8 live shows every week. And, I interview just business experts that provide a great deal of advice. My podcast is called Think Business. And then there's a couple subsets: Think Business Live, Think Mindset, Think Sales, Think Virtual, Think Like a CEO, just different kind of almost Netflix channels of just business advice that, that I provide the listener. I have a lot of blogs, a ton of research, a ton of education on my website, jondwoskin.com.
You have cloned yourself, apparently.
I'm a big guy, but I believe in providing a lot of content. So
wow.
I create a lot of content, and it's important to me to continually grow that element of my business.
We are not worthy. I know what it takes, and my hat's off to you. So thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. So participating in our future. So for a long time, we were raising money to try and get our job done. The good news is that our business is growing and our revenue is going up, and we're starting to do better and better. So now we can think about fundraising, not so much for survival, but for the purpose of creating capital for sort of a GM financial kind of vendor financing role. We've talked a lot about a water market, but we want to start by being the market ourselves, being the water company, being the financier, and as a later evolution, exporting it so that other water companies can be involved, as well as the ability to let investors come in, which is, of course, a super exciting thing because nobody has really been developing passive investments in water to this date. So what do we have here? It is a corporate bond. So you get your annual yield, 8% cash, 4% stock, and then you get a freebie of a quarter of your investment that you receive it that converts to common. We're not offering common stock because it is what it is. But when you decide to go to common, it will be at that later price, which means it's good if the price is lower, but you better watch out that it doesn't go too high. I'm sure you investors will be paying attention to that. You redeem your entire investment for double in stock at that later price. Theoretically, $100,000 is the unit, but frankly, if you're accredited, we'll be very happy to take a smaller amount, whatever works. If you're non-US, you don't have to be accredited. So this is a very good offering. Before I go on, the Regulation A offering that I spoke about in the video is going to be going live this week, and that's 10% per year cash. And then it doesn't turn into stock. What it turns into at our option is 150% redemption. So we have to redeem at 50% more than your investment, or we have to keep paying you 10%. So eventually we have to exit that. And of course, we also plan to list it on the stock exchange as a preferred bond, which would allow you ultimately to buy and sell it as well. So very nice product, which I discussed it briefly in video. You'll be hearing much more about it. Okay, why invest? Well, again, is to help develop this water as a career, to create revenue and assets from financed water equipment systems. And remember, assets help get us onto a national stock exchange eventually. Eventually, we will have this Airbnb for water, value-added water system rentals. Again, that's future, not a current offering. And meanwhile, you get paid to wait. You qualify for these double-digit dividends, and you can convert to stock. And that is something you can decide. Who are the brilliant people that you can talk to about this? Ken Berenger helped design this product. He is an amazing, very articulate guy. Best thing to do is just type oc.gold/Ken, talk to him. Devin Angus is the guy who can get to me if you want to talk to me. So I'm going to end off with a quick disclaimer that this is a Regulation D offering, meaning that it is not registered with the Securities Exchange Commission, and that it is, of course, like all stock investments, a risk. And with that, we would like you to join us next week. I'm going to spend a moment just to see what kind of chats we've had. Okay, yes, Sharon Skonetsky asks, what about personal water systems for individuals? Very good question. Well, the main thing is a problem of scale. It's hard to scale down. Remember, the water industry has been big, 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 big. And now it's going small, which we're involved with. But small still means, look at that PO for that water system. That's $140-some thousand. Yeah, it takes a while to sell it, but it's a nice, big, high-ticket sale. Moving down from there, you get into homes. A whole home system you can get from a number of providers is, as I said, $4,000 to $6,000 for a complete end-to-end system, including what they call black water, closed circuit. And John, you don't want to know what black water is. Black water, it's actually one of our entrepreneurial products. We installed we installed several, but the one that we did a case study of was the one in Pennsylvania with that car dealership, where they were able to locate the dealership away from the sewage system and save a lot of money on land, because we put in place this little closed circuit system for the toilets. And that is something that will be another entrepreneurial system. So I've now talked about 4 in this conversation. But going down to personal water systems for individuals, that's even smaller yet. Each time you go down an order of magnitude, you're talking about a major challenge of miniaturization. So I don't think it's soon, but here's what we are doing is we are sharing our technology for ultra pure water technology with people out there. We're in talks, for example, with a group that wants to put out cosmetics that are based on ultra pure water. And we've been in talks with them to enable them to make that water with our systems. So I think it's more likely to be with alliances than ourselves becoming a provider. I don't think you can be all things to all people. So what are we? The Texas operation, which is from small, $50,000 roughly, all the way up to $2 million for things like energy companies, right? And then they make things custom. And then we have more and more of these modular systems, which are for smaller, decentralized sites. And then we have this entrepreneurial spin-offs, which are standardized products that are going to go into the verticals, the specialized industries, and also these cool waters of career concepts. It's a very exciting time for us. We feel that we've really matured into, I just gave you the full array of what we are, and then down the pike, perhaps create this water marketplace, which we're so excited about, but that I always have to disclaim because there's rules about investment offerings. So we just don't do that. You can invest in our company, and then we will make the investments into these entrepreneurial systems. Well, we've come to the end of the show, and I want to thank you all for being there. It's been amazing. having Jon on board and premiering this little webinar that's going to go out now. And next week, we'll be talking more about the whole university, the entrepreneurial university we're building. We've been packaging it up for the last few weeks. It's taking shape rapidly. And I mentioned also that we're planning a contest. People who win it will be able to have some of this university that we're talking about. And Karen Behringer says, thanks for joining, Jon. And
thank you.
I second that emotion. Again, thank you very much, Jon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend. It's another show. Do join us for show number 79. And I don't think I'll ever do a daily show, Jon, but
well, good luck
thank
to
you all, and good night.
Good night.